The New York Rangers have made multiple moves, and they have serious implications on the rest of the season. Peter Laviolette makes some shocking comments following a disappointing yet encouraging loss, and we're also going to get into some players that have been surprising and some players I think should find their way back into the lineup. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you are a New York Rangers fan and you want to keep up to date with everything going on with the Rangers, especially as they push for the playoffs here, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on with this team, because it's going to be an exciting finish to the season. But the Rangers, will start with them making a couple moves, and those are, of course, Drury, and let me know in the comments if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but to me, I think it's Drury, has been assigned to the Hartford Wolfpack, obviously being called up late last week, and Brett Berard being sent down so he can get into games and continue his development. We'll get into the lineup a little bit later on in this video, and why, Brett Berard was sent down, and obviously Drury in this case sent down. And the reason Drury is sent down is because Chris Kreider was activated yesterday from IR, so clearly feeling better. I don't know if he's 100%. I saw some comments. I saw you guys in the comments. Don't bring him back until he's 100%. Listen, I don't know if Chris Kreider is ever going to be 100% again. So if he's at least feeling good enough to make an impact, I think that's okay with me. But he's got to be able to make an impact. And we'll get into if he did make an impact last night at all against Colorado. But some good news, I would say, for Chris Kreider, returning to the lineup, clearly feeling good enough. And, he was skating morning skate. We covered that yesterday. We covered that the last couple of days. Looked like he was nearing a return, which is great news. And obviously Filipino as well. So great news for the New York Rangers in that regard. And when you look at the lineup, what they're kind of rocking right now, this is why Brett Berard was sent down. Obviously, the first line is rolling, I guess, to a degree. I mean, Panarin is having a good season. We all know that. Vincent Trocheck, in a lot of trade rumors right now, but I don't think he's going to get moved. I think this is the next captain of this team, of the New York Rangers. And obviously, the second line has been, I guess, doing their thing. I've liked Will Cooley's game all season. And then the third line, Chris Kreider comes back into the lineup. Filipino up the middle. He's been, I think, their best centerman all season when healthy. And then Kaliev, obviously, they claimed off waivers. So there's no real room for Brett Berard on this team. I'd rather him get some playing time with the Hartford Wolfpack. I think it makes perfect sense. Although I do think that he can make an impact at the NHL level. And we've seen it so far this year. So the fact that he is in the AHL is tough because I think he can be an NHL player already, but this is just the fact of the matter and the way that the team is constructed right now. And I'm still waiting for Artur Kaliev to go off and make me look a little smart, because I did say that he should be an impact player with this team. But in terms of the loss last night, there's a few things to go over in terms of impact. Some people, and some players that I've liked the last little while, which includes mostly the fourth line. We'll get into that. But Johnny Lazarus summarizes it and exactly my thought pretty well here in this tweet, right? Like, this was a tough one, man. Like, 2 minutes to go, you're up 2-1. It looks like you're going to, again, beat a really good team in this league with a really solid defensive effort, right? Like, 2-1, that's not bad at all. Obviously, relying on goaltending at times, but a much better effort all around from this team in these last two games than earlier in the season when you were winning games 2-1, right? So, it's a tough loss. They probably deserved a better outcome because of the way some of the guys were playing. They did a solid job defending Colorado because they have some offensive firepower. They are a tough team to beat. Obviously, their goaltending, standing on his head. Blackwood's been great ever since he got traded to Colorado. And, you need the big guys to step up. It can't be just the fourth line, though, right? 100%. I totally agree with this tweet. And it cannot be just the fourth line. The last two games, it's been only the fourth line, right? And some interesting comments from Peter Laviolette following the game yesterday. And, the frustrating thing is not to get the second point in the column, which we need. And they desperately need it now, right? They're fighting for a playoff spot at this point. They're right in the mix with everyone. They're right in the mix with Columbus, Montreal, which we talked about yesterday. And those are two teams that they're playing this weekend, right? So you're right in the mix. If you picked up a point here, a second point against the Colorado Avalanche this week was looking pretty good. So that's a tough one to drop, and that's why everyone's just frustrated and irritated with the Knights. And you know what? You can totally understand that. In terms of last night and the last couple nights, I mean, a couple guys that have stood out. Sam Carrick, I mean, he's gotten a couple points just in the last couple nights. If you look at his point totals this season, only 9 points in 42 games playing on the fourth line there. But, most of them coming in the last little while. So he's been playing great. Obviously, the overtime winner last week. He's had a couple points and a couple great performances the last week or so, honestly, like back-checking against Vegas, breaking up plays. He's been really good. And another guy that's caught my eye is Adam Edstrom down there on the fourth line. A lot of people were calling for his head to take him out of the lineup. This is still a young player in the league, and it looks like he's figuring it out right now in January. He's getting a couple points, scored a big goal last night against the Colorado Avalanche, and scored another big goal. Nice deflection against Vegas to win that game as well. So he's really putting in the work right now. Again, a lot of people were calling for his head, but I think that he's actually starting to play really effective minutes as of late. Maybe not so much, a month, 2 months ago, but as of late, I think he's really putting in some more effective minutes, and I think that's great for the Rangers. And in terms of other quotes from other players, you can pause and read this if you want. Obviously, Braden Schneider went on to say, it's a disappointing loss, but they got to look at the positives sometimes too. And the full quote, is actually a pretty good one. So if you want to go check that out, go check it out on Twitter. But again, it was a pretty good quote, and obviously, I love Braden Schneider. I think he's one of the best defensemen this team has, and probably will be one of their best defensemen as he continues to mature, because a lot of people forget, 2020 draft pick, still very young and highly touted around the league. A lot of teams want this player. More from Peter Laviolette on the loss yesterday. They competed and did everything we wanted to for 58 minutes. It's really difficult walking away and not getting that extra point tied up. And even in overtime, looks and chances to win the game, we didn't get it done. So that's the frustrating part about it, is to play so well for 58 minutes and then not to capitalize. Guys played hard the entire night. It was a hard-fought game for us, and we didn't get the results we wanted. And I think that's true, right? I think he's telling it how it is. They played a great 58 minutes, but unfortunately hockey is a 60-minute game unless you go to overtime. And Colorado is the type of team, if you let them have a second, they will tie the game against you, and they will beat you in overtime. They have that much skill. Sometimes the skill just breaks through in that way. So they are a tough team to beat. And in terms of impact, I love the play of the fourth line recently. I do. And they're at the top of the impact chart here. And Adam Fox. I want to touch on Adam Fox in a second as well. But they're at the top of the impact chart here. If you're going to be successful this year and you're going to make the playoffs, I'm not sure these three guys with Matt Rempe can be at the top of your impact chart, making the most impact in all areas of the ice, right? So I think it's a great thing, great story. And sometimes, you need games like that where your fourth line wins you a game, or your third pairing defenseman gets a big goal, right, and wins you the game, or your backup goaltender steals you a game. You need games like that. But it's been 2 in a row, right? So it's got, the top guys got to come to play at this point. And Chris Kreider, not a great performance in his return from injury. I would like to see him have more of an impact, mostly because, the Rangers need it. But also, we got to start thinking about the trade deadline as well. This guy could be on his way out. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying that I want it to happen, because I don't think that is necessarily the right move anyway. But it is around the corner. It could be happening. But let me know in the comments what you think about reinventing the blue line. I think they've defended pretty well for what they have the last little while, but I think they're still a piece or two away on the blue line. When I say away, I mean from being an actual, in the playoff team. I'm not talking about a Stanley Cup at this point, just like a, formidable opponent in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I think that there may be a couple pieces away, but one guy for sure, and like I said, I would touch on him, having a great season and will not be moved, is Adam Fox. I'm not sure this guy is, can be touched at any trade deadline and any trade talks. This guy's been everything for the Rangers, especially offensively. Again, his defense, not as great. He's more of an offensively minded defenseman, of course, but his defense, still great, still absolutely unbelievable. This is a fantastic player. So let me know in the comments what you think about upgrading the defense. I think that's something they got to focus on. Yes, they've been playing some good defense, team defense, which is something I've been screaming about all season that they need to do and focus in on. They're finally doing it, and look at that. You almost win a game against Colorado, which is a pretty good team with a depleted lineup compared to what you had last year. And then obviously you're beating the Vegas Golden Knights. You're picking up a couple wins here and there. So, I think it works. So maybe they need to add a few more pieces on the blue line. I don't think Chris Drury's done. Something big is going to come down before the trade deadline. But let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.